Thank you. So, good afternoon all. Look, I'm delighted to be able to have an opportunity to present to you all today and tell you a little bit about our company and myself and I suppose our journey on the MMC front. So, thanks a million. In terms of today's session, I intend to provide insight to the company with specific focus onto Nua, our manufacturing and technology arm of the business, and then as well highlight some of the key MMC initiatives we're looking to implement over the next 5 to 10 years within Glenveagh. Let's work. So a bit about Glenveagh. So most of you are aware we're a leading Irish home builder and we deliver houses all across the country. But aside from that, I suppose we see ourselves having a huge obligation to come up with solutions to address the current housing crisis. So through that, we pride ourselves in, I suppose, our ability to be able to react and utilise innovation to help find new ways of solving the housing crisis. So anything from the way we look at a scheme, the way we make a scheme viable from a massing perspective, but also how do we deliver the product. So just briefly, I know we had the introduction just there, but I suppose my role in Glenveagh is Director of Design and Innovation, and I am responsible for everything from unit design, R&D, and typical innovation in terms of the way we deliver and the way we design. So, as I mentioned before, I've worked across multiple continents, and I think that's given an edge to be able to see how things can be done differently. There are alternative solutions from the way we've been doing things to date and for the past 100 years that can also be just as successful. Now I want to dive into and provide an overview of Nua. I suppose this is how Glenveagh, about 4 years ago, we embraced the opportunity to look to add an opportunity to secure our supply chain. So in doing so, we developed Nua, which is our manufacturing and technology arm of our business. So we felt it was essential for us to take greater control over our supply chain. And why do we invest in off-site construction? I suppose it was essential for us to become as vertically integrated as possible, just to ensure we could guarantee long-term supply and achieve our very ambitious growth targets. And we felt it was essential to control as much as the critical path items we could. You can't control everything, but the more control, the better for us going forward, particularly given the efficiencies of scale we're delivering at. And ultimately, we want to reduce delivery to market time, but at the same time, improve quality. So how do we deliver our product? So we've invested in 3 strategically located facilities across Ireland, which I'll go into more detail over the next few pages. We've secured a supply chain of over 4,000 units. Actually, that's incorrect. That's changed now. That's more like 6,000 to 7,000 now. And we continue to optimize value. So we're a dedicated team to focus on enhancement of pre-manufactured value, our pre-manufactured value, how we can increase that, relentless innovation in R&D, and then ultimately for us as well too is the implementation of best practice standardization. So in terms of our factories, I'll just do an overview of the 3 sites that we got. So the first one is in Dundalk, and this is a timber frame factory. It's operated through an existing partnership with Keenan Timber Frame since 2019, and Keenan Timber Frame, a highly capable management team with a great track record in delivering timber frame houses. Within the site itself, there's enough flexibility in this factory to scale up when on production when required. And in terms of capacity, we have a capacity of around 900 to 1,000 timber frame units per annum. Next is our Arklow facility. So we acquired this from Harmony Timber Solutions back in 2022, and this is when we first established and rebranded as Nua. So Nua has now become the manufacturing arm across all 3 facilities. This is a custom-built timber frame production facility and has a capability of delivering 450 timber frame units per year. And currently we have 50 full-time staff on site. And then to our latest addition is our Carlow factory. So some of you may be aware this is the former Braun factory in Carlow. And we converted this into the state-of-the-art timber frame and light gauge steel facility, which was opened in June 2023. Currently, we have over 100 staff working across the premise. However, there's plans to expand the team as we ramp up capacity. And in addition to manufacturing, there's ample of capacity for us to explore automation, technology advancements, and P&V and general R&D within our on-site innovation hub. So that's become a key factor for us going forward. And in terms of unit capacity, as we say there on the bottom, so we got the potential to deliver 750 timber frame units per annum and 500 light gauge steel units per annum. In terms of a quick overview of our output for 2024, and on the basis that we're just starting to ramp up, Carlo just came into production not long ago. Over 2024, we manufactured and delivered just over 2,000 units. Majority of them were timber frame, and a modest amount is a light gauge steel. So we utilize our timber frame for the single occupancy housing, designed to IS 440 standards with our NSI certification as well on that. And then light gauge steel, that's our preferred method for our multi-occupancy units, so our masonettes, duplexes, and we're beginning to look at infill apartments. And again, we have a specific agreement cert through the NSI for that system. Just before I come off Nua, I just wanted to provide a brief video which just demonstrates the transition from the Brawn factory to what it is today, the state-of-the-art timber frame and light gauge steel factory, which we did in under a year, so we're quite proud of that. We're starting off with the existing site before we did any work, so this is the existing Brawn factory. And as you come inside here, you can see it's just pretty much a shell and core system. So while it's not bespoke built for manufacturing, we felt there was enough efficiencies to optimize a manufacturing business in this location. Now we come to the transition. So this is the manufacturing facility today. Obviously, we had to include a lot of additional storage area. We rebranded and reclad our main tower. And as you come into the building, we're passing over initially our light gauge steel and now our timber frame lines. So within the building split roughly about a third for the light gauge steel and 2/3 for the timber frame. And as you can see, we've got some of the, I suppose, state-of-the-art sort of technology there as well to ensure quality and efficiencies in terms of our delivery. And then just lastly, going into the factory, into the canteen and the office space, which is multiple and ample space to extend as we need. So I suppose what that does, it sort of reinforces our commitment to delivering housing across Ireland and provides that security for us as a business. So now that we've improved the supply chain security with the investment of Nua, now we've shifted our focus onto delivering more of the project lifecycle in the factory environment. So this is to safeguard against certain risks, which everyone's aware about. So it's a supply chain, obviously, issue as well that I mentioned before, but adverse climate conditions and also a diminishing labour workforce, which is very much true out there at the moment. And this will allow us to have greater control over the delivery process. So at Glenveagh, what we've done is, as part of our journey, we developed an MMC blueprint, which is in front of you here. So this sets out the proposed evolution of our housing product. And the blueprint is based on incrementally producing more in a factory environment and removing activities from site. So for us, this score is based on everything above the subfloor. So current status quo, because we're delivering timber frame or light gauge steel, we sit around 45%. And our ambition is taking it to potentially 70%, which will be a fully enhanced closed 2D panel. And then we'll have other components, 3D components like pods, etc., installed. In terms of our initial MMC transition plan, we have defined 3 key areas of the building to target. So initially phase 1 and phase 2, which involves substituting traditional heavyweight claddings with lightweight alternative innovative solutions. And then once we've solved that, what that will do is then unlock opportunities for us to look at innovative solutions for the subfloor, so such as piling or lightweight floor cassettes, because a substantial amount of the weight will be coming off the building. And next here, just wanted to shed some light, I suppose, on the robust due diligence process we've undertaken. And this is over the space of the last 2.5 years. So initially we set up a database of 50 suitable materials, lightweight facade claddings. And from there, each material was subject to a very robust assessment. So the assessment, which was carried out by 2 assigned certifiers, independent, and ourselves, it considered such factors as scalability, which is very important for us, cost, carbon, supply chain availability, labour count, etc. And from there, we've refined that list down to 4 suitable products that we feel is the least risk averse for us going forward. And I'll go into more detail on those products in the next few slides. And then taking a step back, I suppose, so why are we looking to propose to transition lightweight facades? I suppose these 2 tables, which are taken from our audit, pretty much set out the benefits and pros and cons of both options. And as you can see, the right-hand side with lightweight facades for us in our business model, there's more benefits and opportunity for our business to grow by pivoting to lightweight facades where we have control. Over the next few slides, what I want to do now is just focus on each of those 3 phases in a little bit more detail, starting off with the external wall cladding. So here we compare the current traditional heavyweight brick and block facades, which as you can see, it lacks versatility because you can only install it on site. It's very slow to deliver, and it's very labour intensive. You compare that to what we're proposing, which is a lightweight cladding solution, primarily consisting of boards and planks, which offers greater flexibility. It's more versatile. You can deliver this in a factory environment or on site. It is a lot quicker to install, but you've also got greater control because it's delivered in a controlled environment in terms of quality. And there's substantial benefits we're seeing from a carbon reduction perspective. And as you can see on the right-hand side images, if we implement lightweight systems, so we change from heavyweight to lightweight, we're seeing about a 10% increase in terms of our PMV. I thought this was quite useful for context, right, to see, and a lot of you guys are obviously familiar with sites and everything, but just to compare the 2. So as you can see, these slides depict the current traditional building method on site to date. And as you can see, and as you've noticed yourself, due to large volume of materials, there is a lot of issues, I suppose, on site with storage and it's a coordination aspect, storage and logistics, and it's quite invasive by nature and obviously very labour intensive. In comparison, these images illustrate the versatility of lightweight facades and the benefits they can offer. So this is reduced installation times, improved quality because you're delivering it in a factory and controlled environment. But most importantly for us looking forward and trying to future-proof ourselves, it can also facilitate future advancements in automation and robotics. However, as well, speaking based on some of my earlier guests, John in particular, there needs to be a coordination piece and a collaboration piece with the building control officers and ourselves to understand how we're going to pivot, what's that new inspection process going to consist of. So that's important, and we won't be going ahead until we have that collaboration so we know exactly what checks and what do we need to capture in the factory and when the building officer needs to come in and do his inspections. So to date in our factory, we've actually produced 3 2-storey facades to try demonstrate what our preferred solutions in terms of lightweight facades. And one of these been great for to date is stakeholder meetings, which you can invite people over, they can touch and feel it, and start exploring and looking into the key interface details. So what we have here at the moment is just 2 lightweight carrier board systems with a vented and drain cavity. So there's fibre cement sheeting board in relation to Mauer on the left-hand side, and the right-hand side is a glass fibre gypsum-based board for the Weber system. And both systems are finished in either acrylic render or acrylic brick slip. So what we're showing here is just try to demonstrate the versatility, so you can have whatever brick colour you want, orientation, and whatever brick size. So the left-hand side, actually you can't see it, but it's Roman brick, whereas it wouldn't be viable to do that in traditional because it's 9 times the price of a standard brick, whereas you can deliver that effect here for the same price, no uplift. Our third model is a little bit more contemporary, and I appreciate not everyone's taste, but what we want to have a look at is I suppose, pre-finished claddings. And this, obviously, I'll caveat by saying it won't work in every location where we've got to align with the surrounding context, but it's a more contemporary design where we're looking at pre-finished boards. That means we're not bringing in any wet trades, so there's no render, there's no pointing. And what the three facades that I've just gone over, what they allow you to do, it allows you to unlock alternative massing models, so you can create variety. So it's not going to be the same consistent housing. You can start looking at different massing profiles, mono-pitch roofs, so you've got a lot more of a variety. So it's actually opening up more opportunity for flair. The next section, I summarised transition phase 2, which is in relation to the roof coverings. So again, here as we did for the facades, we compared the traditional roof system with the lightweight opportunity through lightweight claddings, sheets, tiles, and potentially pre-finished roof cassettes. And I suppose I'll explain it better on these few pages here. So again, like with the heavyweight facade, here we demonstrate the traditional installation method of concrete tiles. While this is also labour intensive and requires large volume of storage, there's also an added issue or a challenge, I suppose, with health and safety, just given the pure height you're working at and the weight of the materials. So in comparison, this illustrates the versatility that's potentially on offer for lightweight roof claddings. You can unlock more efficient roof profiles, so you can start going to mono-pitch, creating more contemporary houses, but also looking at pre-finished roof cassettes that can be delivered, and you're reducing the time to get the building weatherproof on site. In relation to the lightweight floor, this is phase 3, I suppose. So phase 3 focuses now on the comparison of standard and our lightweight proposal. So for us, I suppose, the current subfloor construction methods are arguably the most inefficient process of the build process. And this is partly due to the unknown. No matter how many tests or surveys you carry out, you never know what the soil conditions are going to be across the board. So obviously there's a lot of hidden costs in that, and then the amount of soil relocation required as well too is very intense. So what we're exploring is alternative rapid foundation solutions and lightweight floor cassettes, in this case light gauge steel, to mitigate against some of these constraints and obviously increase efficiencies in terms of delivery and economics as well. This tells us the true story on site, particularly the summer we had last year and the winter we had this year. I suppose the process is very reliant on large machinery. This is the current process, and that's due to removing soil, bringing soil in. So obviously it's very susceptible to adverse climate conditions, and the working conditions are very unpleasant. When you look at what we're proposing, it's potentially far less invasive because you're just screwing, all you're doing is taking off the topsoil, you're putting screw poles in, and then you're putting a lightweight floor cassette in. So we believe there's a lot of benefit in this. We've also done carbon analysis, and it's a lot more favourable. However, I will caveat this by stating it's still in its early days of proving its merit. There are some compliance items in Part C that we need to overcome and work with key stakeholders. So we'll be looking to do that over the next year or so. But initially, we're focusing on phase 1 and phase 2. And this is internally, so this is just demonstrating the next step of building out the lightweight skeleton floor cassette, where we're looking to introduce rodent protection, the radon membrane, the coordination of the services, and then also the installation as well too. So we have all this modelled down in our innovation hub, and we're carrying out uplift tests, and we're carrying out thermal modelling and all of that as well, and condensation risk analysis at the moment. And I suppose just to conclude, I just wanted to provide a brief overview of the MAL facade system that we have recently invested in and gone into a partnership with. So this is a lightweight system, so it comprises of a lightweight composite facade panel. It's prefabricated and it has a brick slip applied to it. So it's starting to branch on the realms of printing. While it's not there yet, that has the potential to do that. So we've entered into a license agreement with Mauer Limited, who are the current manufacturers of the facade and the supplier of it. However, this license agreement gives us full exclusivity in the Republic of Ireland to manufacture and produce this panel ourselves and install it. The system, as I mentioned before, is simply fixed to a timber batten, which is then fixed to the structural timber frame, so it's a ventilated and drain cavity. In terms of our implementation phase, initially we'll be operating through phase 1, which is install prefabricated boards, and they'll come in 1.2 by 2.4 panels. They have a castellated joint, and you're applying it in a vertical position in the factory. But the utopia for this, and we're already advancing the automation on this, is directly printing it to a wall panel, so a ground floor panel that's 2.4 by 10 meters long. It will go under a machine, and it will print out the brick pattern on top of that machine, on top of that wall panel, sorry. As part of our due diligence process, so we've carried out a robust review of this, and prior to investing, we undertook a robust compliance review with 2 assigned certifiers to ensure that we complied with the building regs. We also carried out multiple performance testing, so fire, acoustic, climate, etc., to make sure we complied with the regs and the climate conditions that we're going to be installing it. And we've also, as I mentioned before, prototyping was quite key because we're moving from what is a half-closed 2D system to a fully closed system. So the interface details of that is very key. So what we're actually doing in the next few months, we're developing a smaller model showing the key interfaces of our panels. So the interface from panel to the subfloor, because that's a closed panel now, you don't have access to the fixings, so we're coming up with sophisticated fixings to deal with that. It's a male-female joint. And then how do we stitch up the membranes on site? So we've got panels, removable panels. So we're going to have that demonstration model ready in the next couple of months, and we want to open it up to anyone who wants to come see it, to come have a look for it and question it and query it and see for themselves and take them through it, and we'll work with the industry on that before we roll it out on site. And here we just illustrate, I suppose, the results of the compliance review from Catalyst. So basically from part A to M, we're compliant with all the relevant information, including durability. So in durability, we reviewed all the testing and certification, and that demonstrates expected service life in excess of 60 years for the lightweight facade. And there's testing reports and testing certs that we've been reliant on from an EA accredited body as well on that as well. So that closes out my presentation. I just want to say thanks again for inviting me here today, and be more than happy to answer any queries you might have in the panel. Thanks.